What's going on, everybody? Welcome into the Blazers Uprise post-game show presented by Bet Online. The Blazers tonight get absolutely destroyed in Dallas. They get absolutely dominated in Dallas. This game sucked. Eric, how's it going? I'm not too happy right now.
Yeah, this is by far the worst game of the season. Not even close. And yeah, just not a lot to be hopeful or positive about from this one.
Yeah, I think there's something that's a glaring weakness with this team that I've kind of talked about, but tonight it was especially glaring, and we're going to talk about that and get into everything that went wrong for your Portland Trail Blazers today. But first, let me thank the sponsor, BetOnline. As always, use promo code BELIEVE for 50% rewards. That's promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV. You got parlays, which are always fun. You got live betting, which is always fun. Sometimes you can tell if this Blazer team is going to lose in the first half, and there was a bad stretch in this first half where, maybe you could have gotten in on some live betting as this thing obviously started going downhill. But definitely check out BetOnline and use that promo code BELIEVE for 50% rewards. Not just basketball. There's baseball, golf, hockey, football, all sorts of good stuff. Anyway, Eric, I wanted to start the stream before I completely calmed down in terms of my frustration. So this is the fastest we've started to stream all year, right after the game, and I'm pretty freaking frustrated right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard not to be after watching that. The Mavericks haven't even been playing that well. And so it's not like, they're unstoppable or anything. They were ninth on offense in terms of offensive rating heading into this game. So they're a decent offense, but to make them look like there's no way possible to stop them is kind of disgusting. And we just did not have the defensive effort tonight.
Yep, I think there was two major glaring things for me today, Eric, that really went wrong in this game. And there was more than two things that went wrong in this game, but there was two things that were very glaring to me. One was Chauncey Billups didn't seem to have this team prepared and seemed to have no idea how to guard Luca without giving up completely wide open threes to anybody else, and Luca still went off, which Luca's gonna go off. He's averaging over 30 points per game and 8-9 assists for a reason, but the amount of wide open shots we gave up that seemed to be either guys not knowing what scheme we were in defensively or guys executing the scheme, but the scheme was just bad. We ran a lot of drop. We switched too much. The whole game plan just seemed completely scatterbrained in a complete mess in this game. That was glaring issue number one. I'll let you give your thoughts on that. But then the glaring issue number two is our bench freaking sucks. The Blazers actually started off this game well. They started off this game hitting some shots. The offense looked phenomenal. The Blazers at one point had a 16-8 lead, 21-16 lead, but when the bench unit came in, that completely went away. There is a stretch there, a 5-minute stretch, where both Justice Winslow and Drew Eubanks were in the game at the end of the first and early in the second, where the Blazers got outscored 13-2. Justice... Okay, let me mute ESPN. Justice Winslow in the first half, when he was on the court, the Blazers got outscored 36-19. I'm frustrated with our bench lineup, and those are the two biggest glaring weaknesses to me in this game, because I thought the Blazers started off with the rhythm, with momentum, started off this game hitting shots, and then the bench came in, and that momentum completely swung the other way, and the Blazers could absolutely never recover. So, what are your thoughts on both of those?
Yeah, I love the flow of the offense at the beginning of the game. I thought the defense, even though we gave up some open shots at the start of the game, it seemed fine. I don't know what it is about this team, but I feel like anytime we have some success, it just goes to their head, and then they start feeling themselves, and they just, all it takes is to lose focus. It was 3 possessions in a row, and they hit a couple threes and get an alley-oop dunk, and all of a sudden, a nice start is erased, and and then we can't score, we can't do anything on offense, and they're getting any shot they want on defense, and we don't adjust at all. And so I feel like, we had gotten things back on track, things are going well. We start off this game well, and then players just like let up for some reason. And we've talked about this numerous times. You can't have that let up. You have to want it. And it seemed like Dallas tonight played like, I'm not going to say their season was on the line, but they played with some urgency. Like they need to get better. They need to play better defense. And sometimes that's all it takes is just to be the harder working team. And I don't like games like this where we just seemingly gave up and let them do whatever they wanted.
Yeah. So what do you think about the game plan? And then we'll talk about the bench.
So the game plan, we started off with Jeremy Grant on Luca, which I don't think is the worst matchup in terms of, we know he guards most opposing ball handlers. But Luca kind of goes slow through screens, so he allows you to catch back up if you hustle and get back into it. But here's the problem. If you die on screens and just stand there and don't recover, that loses that advantage. So I don't understand not blasting through those screens and trying to recover as fast as possible. I thought he did an okay job, better than he had been doing at the beginning of this game. But as the game went on, we just did a terrible job of fighting through the screens and getting back to him. And then we put Josh Hart on him for a couple possessions, and he actually did that and fought through really well. And then they called him for 2 cheap fouls.
Yeah.
And honestly, in a game like this, I think this is where Chauncey needs to be a little different. Either he needs to get a technical or he needs to challenge a call like that early, like the 2 fouls on Josh Hart, because it just set a tone. They shot 19 free throws in the first half, and we were in the bonus very early in both quarters. I think it was like over 7 minutes left in the second quarter, and they just kept attacking and calling, and they kept calling fouls, and they kept parading to the free throw line. And I feel like if you don't let the refs get away with calling that touch foul or the pump fake where Josh doesn't even touch him and Luca initiates all the contact, that's not supposed to be a foul anymore. So, I mean, even if they uphold the call, at least you're making a statement to the refs that you're not going to allow them to get away with calling that kind of stuff that game. So I feel like sometimes you have to set the tone with that kind of stuff. And that was a huge momentum in the game because Hart has to come out. I think he got 3 fouls in the first quarter. Nurk gets in foul trouble in the first half. And all of a sudden we're playing our bench unit more, which leading to that, the bench has been not good. And the starters he's mixed in, like tonight, he had Ant and Jeremy Grant come back in with the bench unit. And instead of that free-flowing offense that we saw at the beginning of the game, it's basically just, here, Jeremy, you take a turn trying to break down the defense. And here, Ant, you try to make something happen. And I don't understand why we're not running more structure within that second unit still.
Yeah. The second, dude, I cannot get over how bad the second unit was today. Especially the combination of Justice Winslow and Drew Eubanks. Like, when Justice Winslow subs into the game, the offense feels completely different. I don't know if that's just me or if people in chat feel that way or you feel that way, but like the flow and the space and the movement and everything feels much less productive, like, or just completely gone. And did you see the way they were guarding Winslow in this game? He is at the 3-point line. Even when he had the ball, they were 15 feet off him, just standing in the paint. Whoever was guarding him was actually guarding cutters and clogging it up. And yeah, Winslow goes 1 for 3 today in his 18 minutes. Cool, yeah, 33%, right? That's more efficient than he usually is. And if you're only making 1 3 in 18 minutes when you're being left completely wide open, yeah, obviously you're not spacing the freaking floor. When he comes in and plays next to Eubanks, that's 2 complete non-shooters that you don't have to guard, and it's just impossible to work with, man. I am so freaking tired of having a good start to games. We've been starting games a lot better than we did earlier in the year. But then Winslow comes in and Eubanks comes in, and our offense completely changes. And it doesn't matter if you still have Anthony Simons or Jeremy Grant in there. Every time they drive, they're getting smothered. And their options are like Eubanks, but with how much traffic's in the paint, the dump-off passes aren't really there. Or it's kicking out Justice Winslow spotting up on the three-point line, or, you know, maybe you can get Shaedon Sharpe at three. Like, it's just very difficult for those guys to get going in that bench lineup. Now, both of those guys struggled today. Ant was 3 for 10, Jeremy Grant 2 for 9. But the bench has an offensive problem. The bench comes in and there's, with Winslow and Eubanks on the floor, 2 points in 5 minutes. And that's with them playing next to some starters, next to Ant, next to Jeremy Grant. So it's not like they have nobody on the court other than those two that can create a shot, but still, when those two are in the game, 2 points in 5 minutes. And that coincided with the Blazers' hot start turning into the Mavericks having momentum, going into halftime up 9 points, and that was the game. From there on. Now, you know, could have fought back in the third quarter, but didn't play no freaking defense. But it's just frustrating how this team can start good, and then those two get subbed in, and all of a sudden the offense can go from looking phenomenal to looking like complete, utter crap. And then neither of those guys are getting it done on the defensive end either.
Yeah, and then, you know, Dame comes back in, and the only offense we seem to have was the Dame Save Us offense. He had to, like, basically drive against the whole Mavericks defense every time or take a tough step back three. And then Nurk came in and was terrible. Like, he was awesome his first stint. Subs out of the game with 2:32 left in the first with a 4-point lead, like you said, and then comes back in the second half and just he turned the ball over several times in a row, and then was terrible on defense too. Like, I don't know, just all our momentum got ruined. But the team can't be that fragile to, like, just completely fall apart anytime the other team goes on a run, though, either. So they have to find a way to make this work. With Ant they just need to, like, get Ant going with that second unit, because that's been a key before the season started. Was, can Anthony be better than CJ in terms of the minutes when Dame's not on the court? And he's got to find a way to do that. To score in those situations or to play make for others. But like you mentioned, it's hard to do when the spacing is completely gone with the lineups we have out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. There's not enough shooting on this bench unit, man, and it's a problem. Let me thank 3 donos, and then I want to talk about some more about the bench, because I think that was the biggest glaring thing for me today. Shout out Brian Tadovich, $5 dono, says, is our defense something to worry about, or was it just a bad game? And why is our pick and roll defense so bad? Well, actually, going into this game, the starting 5 for the Blazers, this starting 5, you know, healthy starting 5 for the Blazers, this lineup, has a defensive rating of 111, which would be good for 8th in the NBA. That's what's extra frustrating, is our starting 5 as a unit has actually defended well, Eric. When the bench comes in, the offense goes to crap and the defense goes to crap. Like, the defense struggles with the bench unit. And statistically, that's backed up. So it's super, super frustrating, man. It's super, super frustrating. But the positive is the starting lineup has defended decently as a unit this year. I think you just got to rework the bench.
Yeah, I mean, statistically, it's been okay. I think it's somewhere around the middle of the pack, which is fine if they're the number one offense. But you know, when you go those long stretches without scoring and your defense is not good, that's not a good combination. But yeah, the starting unit defense has been good enough, I'd say. But I mean, we're still in the 20s. We're going to fall back into the mid 20s after this game, giving up 130. So it's definitely not good enough, either starters or bench.
Yeah.
So it still needs to be improved. And
well, here's what I want to see. I want to see Nurkic's defensive rating this game versus Eubanks' defensive rating this game. That's what I want to see. I want to compare those two things, because I don't think Nurkic was good defensively, especially in the second half, but still, Nurkic only ended up being a -3 in 22 minutes. Eubanks was a -18 in 13 minutes.
Yeah. The thing is, to me, they're not mixing up pick and roll coverages. That's the problem with the defense as a whole, and the defense, like the pick and roll specifically. How many open shots did we give up in this game? A ton, right?
A million.
Right. So, at what point did we blitz or trap any screen pick and roll?
Not really. I mean, we played up at the point of a screen a few times, and
the
rotations behind weren't good or weren't quick enough, and then also we didn't get into the ball enough, and also Luca's like 6'7".
Yeah. But, I mean, this isn't just Luca. It's like a common theme. We barely blitzed or trapped at all this year, except for like sending a trap from a guy that's not involved in the pick and roll. We've done that a few times. But if you're giving up so many open shots, why not at least try to force some turnovers or force some, like, get them uncomfortable or whatever? I've been saying this all year. We just let teams dictate what flow they want to their offense. We don't do anything to stop it. Yeah, we might have decent defensive efforts, defensive plays, a good rotation here and there, but it's not like we ever go above to be like, no, we're going to jump this and take it away from you, right? It's just like, okay, let's just switch this, or let's just fight through the screen and then not really fight through it or whatever. I feel like, I mean, I'm hoping Gary solves some of that, but I mean, if he's only playing 20 minutes a game or something, you still have to worry about the other 28 minutes. But when you don't have good point of attack defenders, I feel like you need to like force the action a little bit more and take them out of straight line drives to the hoops after a pick and roll. And how many times did Luca just get one screen and was downhill into the middle of the paint before he met one of our centers?
Drop.
Yeah.
Too much in this game. You don't run drop against Luca. He loves working in the mid-range. He's a fantastic passer. He has bigs that are athletic that he can throw lobs to. How many times was like, okay, Luca's getting a little 10-foot floater that's open, or he's just throwing a lob over the top to a big man who's dunking? And most of that was against Eubanks too. Like, Eubanks should not be playing drop, but in general, you shouldn't be playing drop against Luca.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, regardless of what we're doing, why do we keep doing the same thing over and over again? It just, we don't adjust, it seems.
It baffles me. I want to get into more of this, but I want to make sure we get caught up on donos. Shout out to Ads, $5 dono says, waiting for Blazer Media to once again announce the team spent a whole practice on defense. Who was the last undeniably good coach in Portland? I mean, I wouldn't say Chauncey isn't good. Chauncey has things that he needs to learn. But the thing is if he was coaching for a decade, the things that he needs to learn, he should have known after coaching for a decade. He's still young enough where I'm willing to give him some leeway to figure things out and to learn. But, no, this was a bad game. And the shout Ol Jakob House for the 50 Norwegian Crony Dono says, without extra good defense from Winslow, he's just a walking stick out there. Something has to happen for this team to contend around the second unit. Thank you, Jakob, for the 50 Norwegian Crony Dono. Thanks, guess everyone. The positive is our starting lineup, I think, is good enough to contend. Our bench lineup sucks. But that's easier to fix than if our starting lineup sucks. But, you got some guys that can come in off the bench and provide some solid minutes, right? Like, I'd rather have the problem that we have right now. But, Eric, like, this game convinced me, man. I just do not like our bench at all. Obviously, GP2 would help with that. But, did you see the play where Eubanks gave up because Justice Winslow stayed with Luca and Eubanks wanted to guard him? Do you know what play I'm talking about? I tweeted out a video of it where Eubanks just throws his hands up. What were you saying?
I'll go watch your video.
Yeah, go watch the video I tweeted.
I feel like that happened several times.
Yeah, but it was especially bad because he like visibly threw his hands up and basically quit on the play. So I tweeted out a video, just like one of the things. There was a stat today in a Zach Lowe article about Eubanks giving up 0.88 points per possession when he gets switched on pick and rolls, but I asked somebody who read the article, they said there was no additional context in that. I don't know if that's just when Eubanks is guarding the ball handler and they shoot, or if that's entire possessions, but I don't think it's entire possessions, because a lot of times is Eubanks will get beat on the perimeter, help will come, and we overhelp a lot, and then it's kick out open three. But that's not necessarily a shot on Eubanks after he switched, but a lot of times you'll have to help more when your big man switches onto a guard, right? Or Eubanks might force a miss, but because we switched, we got Anthony Simons trying to box out someone like Rudy Gobert, so it's a putback, all because of the switch, right? Like, switching causes more issues than just having a big on a guard, and there's issues down the line in a possession from switching pick and rolls. But you had a breakdown, I believe it was last stream, if not, it was the stream before, talking about how Drew Eubanks will auto-switch everything no matter what. And I assume you've watched the clip by now, Eric, but what were your thoughts?
I mean, I can't tell. Okay, well, first of all, Drew can't just stand there and throw his hands up and wonder what's going on. He's got to recover back somewhere else. But I can't tell if that's something that Winslow was supposed to come back and get back into the play, or if, I
think they were supposed to switch then, of just switching for the hell of it. Like, Winslow's there to, like, as a big man, I don't know. Either that's on Chauncey or that's on Drew. The main problem I have with Drew on that play, Eric, is him throwing his hands up because he doesn't get to, like, he has to recover to his guy. That I thought was really, really bad. Like, I get it if you're supposed to switch everything, like, why is Justice Winslow recovering to his man? But that's your initial assignments for a reason. So if he's recovering to your man, even if you're supposed to be switching everything, get back to yours. Don't stand there throwing your hands up and looking around and being all annoyed and stop playing. Like, that is not okay. But also, just, I'm so tired of the switching, man. I'm so tired of automatically switching.
But he's the best in the league at it.
Yeah, I hate that stat came out because there's no context with that. With that stat, I don't know where he got it from. I asked Reese, who read the article. He said there's no context with it. Also, how much of it is Eubanks switching against bench lineups? If he's switching against bench lineups, it's more okay than him switching against starters. Like, statistically, he's going to look better playing against bench lineups on the defensive end than if he's playing against a Luca Doncic or anyone else, the players that Nurk has to go against, right? So that's why stats like that, without context, I don't read too much into. But regardless, Eubanks got absolutely picked apart defensively today. I
mean, Nurk did too, to be fair.
I think Nurkic was better. That's why I want to see their defensive rating. If somebody in chat can give me...
It was worse for Nurk.
Was it worse for Nurk?
Trevin has it, yeah.
All right, Trevin. I will believe it. But at least Nurkic was doing things offensively. At least Nurkic was finishing, making shots. We only got outscored by 3 with Nurkic in the lineup. But yeah, Nurkic wasn't good today, but Eubanks wasn't good today either. The problem I had with Nurkic on the court is against Christian Wood, you can't run drop because Christian Wood will just pop. Then the big man is running from the paint out at Christian Wood. And I don't think there's any big man in the league other than maybe the most elite mobile centers that can run Christian Wood off the line and then stay in front of him on his drive. Like, that's why Christian Wood's a really good offensive player, because he can shoot threes and then he can attack off the dribble and he's quick for a big. So when you run drop and have your center in the paint on a pick and roll and Christian Wood pops to the three-point line, that's a 15, 20-foot gap for that big man to cover. It's almost impossible. So that was another reason why I hated that we ran drop. And there was a couple possessions like that where it's like, oh, look at Nurkic get blown by. But you're putting him in a really tough position by running drop against a big that pops and is good attacking closeouts.
Yeah. It's like, I don't know. We can only run drop or switch. Like, we have no other thing to go to. Like, can they really not run anything else?
I don't know. It's frustrating. But that's the thing, is this team just felt super ill prepared in this game. Didn't execute what they were supposed to be running defensively. Ran too much drop. I don't know, man. Like, we can't seem to come up with a good game plan for a star offensive player. They go off every single time against us. Like, has there been a game other than the game where, like, Jokic had 9 points but didn't really press the issue offensively in the first game we played the Nuggets? Has there been a game where we've slowed down a star player?
I mean, depending on who you think Minnesota's star is. But Anthony Edwards didn't really go off against us.
Yeah, he ain't a star,
though. But yeah. I'd have to go back to the schedule.
Yeah, because Lucas had some bad shooting games lately. He's at 8 for 23, 10 for 20, like 10 for 28, I believe, was another one of his shooting lines lately. Like, he has to get up shots in order for them to be effective, but the fact that we let him have an efficient night and then also gave up so many open shots on top of that. But then also, Eric, their bench isn't good. Christian Wood is their bench. With Luca off the floor there in the first half, they actually, I think, extended their lead.
They did. And they're one of the worst teams in the league in terms of on-off analytics when Luca's in the game versus not, much like Jokic. And I think there were some stretches in both Denver games where we lost the minutes with Jokic on the bench, and tonight in the second quarter we get absolutely drilled, and it was all with Luca on the bench. He sat 7 minutes, I think, if not more, into the second quarter, and they increased their lead to double digits. Just can't happen.
Yeah, at the start of the second quarter, we were up 32-31. Because he played the whole first quarter, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was 32-31. We were up, and then Luka Doncic entered back into the game. We were down 55-47. So in those 7 minutes, we got outscored by 9 points with Luka off the floor. And they suck with Luka off the floor. That's extremely frustrating. That goes directly into my entire point of this bench is not good enough on either end of the floor. Because in those 7 minutes, Eric, without Luka, who they rely on so much offensively, they scored 24 points in 7 minutes.
Just can't happen. Then, just think, so, you know, those games against the Nuggets and Mavericks have gone that poorly with our benches, and they still have two of the worst on-offs with Luca and stuff. So that means, like, pretty much every other game they're terrible, except for we let them go off.
Yep. Very frustrating. Dallas shoots 56% from the field, 42% from three, gets to the line 26 times, makes 22 of those free throws, 130 points. A lot of that, honestly, our best defense might have came in garbage time. We only gave up 20 in the fourth quarter, so they still shot great despite doing nothing in the fourth quarter because it was already over.
Well, they scored 100 points with 4 minutes and 40 seconds left in the third quarter.
Yeah. It's just terrible. It's frustrating, man. It's frustrating how we can actually, like, compete against any starting lineup in the league. And then even against teams that are superstar dependent, when they come off the floor, we lose ground. That's not okay. Because some people say, oh, well, we're star dependent, obviously, off Dame, but we stagger Dame and Ant. Like, we got Ant playing with the second unit. A lot of times we'll stagger with Grant, too. Like, we're not completely dependent upon Dame. We've won games this year without Dame. If Dallas didn't have Luca, they'd probably be 2-28. Like, they are not good when Luca's off the floor.
They'd be us in the second half of last year.
Yeah, they would be terrible. But, yeah.
This felt like a taking game.
Yeah. Are you as down as on our bench lineup as I am?
I mean, I'm pretty down. I still think there's some stuff they could do and do better. Yeah.
Like play Watford over Winslow? Well,
it was interesting you say that because, you know, last game I pointed out that Watford came in first and that Winslow only played 4 minutes in the first half last game. And so we talked about it on the stream yesterday. And so what happens today, he puts Winslow in first, and we blow the lead, and then Watford comes in. I think there was like 9 minutes left in the third after Dallas had already taken the lead, and we'd scored 2 points in that like 7-minute stretch or whatever it was. So that's definitely something to watch for between those two. I still, unless you're going small without Nurk or Eubanks in the game, I don't think you can play those two together.
Winslow and
Watford.
Yeah.
So I think you got to go with one or the other, and I feel like that's what Chauncey's trying to do. I mentioned that as a possibility yesterday, is that he might just start choosing like, this game you're going to come in first, this game you're going to come in first. But I don't know. I think that leads to people not knowing their roles as much and things like that. But
I mean, rules should also be up in the air too, though.
Right.
Right. Watford came in last game. Let me just, or go ahead. Go ahead and make your point.
Well, I was just gonna say, yeah, obviously players should know their roles already and stuff like that. But I'm just saying, like, if you start to like mess with it, it's like Watford, like a young player like that in his second year, it's tough. Like, oh, am I going to be the one he's going to go to this game, or is it going to be Winslow? And when am I going to get this game? And now it's, into the second quarter and he hasn't played. He's like, oh, am I going to play this game or not? Like, I'm not saying he should, but it starts to like maybe mess with people, especially young players.
Yeah, I mean, I thought last game when Watford subbed in instead of Winslow, I felt like the offense had more of the flow that they play with the starting lineup. Like, it wasn't as abrupt of a change. I don't know, but that was just obviously one game where Watford subbed in early, but it was 18-14 last game when Watford subbed in. It was 39-28 when he subbed out early in the second. He subbed in with like 6 minutes left in the first quarter. And then today, Watford was actually phenomenal. I don't know how much of this was in garbage time, Eric, but let me pull up this current box score. In 24 minutes, he had 16 points, 11 rebounds, 6 assists, no turnovers, 2 steals, was 5 for 8 from the field and 2 for 3 from 3. One of those threes actually was a meaningful 3, and then also 4 for 5 from the free throw line, and was a +6. Now, some of that was obviously playing with the end of the bench guys at the end of a game, like Greg Brown was a +5 in 12 minutes in the fourth quarter, Jabari Walker was a +5, but Watford, I thought when he was in there, provided good minutes. At this point, I would play Trenton Watford above Justice Winslow. I don't think that there's anything that Justice Winslow can do defensively that Watford can't. I think Watford's had some moments where he's completely fallen asleep defensively, but you can probably say the same for everybody else on this team, and that stuff is fixable. And then he's better attacking the rim, better playing within the flow of the offense, and also he's knocked down a couple threes. Like, I have more belief that Turner Watford could become a good three-point shooter than Justice Winslow, because Winslow sucked for years shooting threes, whereas Watford, we haven't really seen him stretch his game out yet. So, I don't know. Maybe he can knock down enough to keep defenses honest, and then he can certainly drive past closeouts. So, I'd rather roll with that right now. Watford 11 rebounds today as well. Winslow 3 rebounds in 18 minutes. At this point, the bench has been so bad that I think you have to see what Watford looks like with Eubanks as, like, the first shift of the bench unit. Because at this point, you say you don't think they can play Watford and Winslow together. I agree. But I don't know if you can play Winslow and Eubanks together. It feels like every time those two guys are in the game, you just don't have good enough spacing. And it might be the same way with Watford and Eubanks, unless Watford can truly stretch his game out to 3. But I at least just want to see what it looks like, because what we're doing right now just ain't working with this bench.
Yep. And I don't know. They can't run ISO in the second unit with the spacing. Like, if you're going to put them out there, which I'm assuming they still will, they're not going to like just bench Winslow, I don't think. So they have to find a way to make it work. And one of the things to make that work, they had a play a few games ago where coming off a pick and roll, instead of throwing it to the roll man, they threw it to a player near the post baseline area, and he quick passed it to the roller rolling down the middle. And I think you're going to have to do more of that kind of action with Winslow and Eubanks if they're going to play together. And if not, yeah, it's just, I mean, one of them's got to be taken out of the rotation, I think. But you have to find a way to make it work. And you have to run a little bit because both those guys are seemingly better in the open floor than in a half-court set. So the fact that they don't run at all and they don't run any kind of plays with spacing or design cuts or anything like that just drives me crazy.
Yep, absolutely. Shout out Carson Dunn, member for 7 months, says, let's get these next 3 W's. Merry Christmas, y'all. Thank you, Carson, for that member message. The Blazers got to play better than this to beat OKC and Houston. Houston's been playing better lately, but obviously none of those teams have Luca, and we just can't seem to figure out how to deal with Luca or the shooting around him. We just cannot figure out any sort of game plan to deal with that and not let Luca go off and let shooters go off. So this Dallas team is frustrating to play against. Maybe is just a bad matchup for us, but it's an extremely frustrating. It was an extremely frustrating game tonight. But yes, Merry Christmas. Thank you for being a channel member, Carson.
Merry Christmas, Carson. And yeah, dude, I don't know if I could make it through a playoff series against Luca. Like,
okay,
just watching us get destroyed and not doing anything about it, like I don't know, I'd just be so frustrated.
Watch, we're gonna somehow find a way to get the 1 seed this year. They're gonna be the seed, and
they're gonna make the play-in.
That would be disgusting. But dude, I can't stand Luca because that dude whines more about calls than anybody in the league, and he gets more BS calls than probably anyone in the league. Like dude, I can't stand Luca, man. I love his game. And the way he plays at his own pace, like just how creative he is, his skill set. I love his game. But, oh my goodness. Those 2 calls, I think, in the first quarter also kind of changed the momentum where, the dude wasn't... There was multiple calls this game where the dude wasn't even close to being fouled, and he's getting calls and just getting trips to the free throw line over and over again. Then Jeremy Grant will drive into the paint and get leveled and just bodied to the floor and doesn't get a freaking call. But then you got Luca that'll sit there complaining anytime he doesn't get to the free throw line. That dude complained way too much today. This Blazers defense wasn't even being physical. This Blazers defense was extremely soft today. He got calls he shouldn't have gotten, and he's still sitting there crying about some stuff. Maybe the play got hit in the head. Okay, sure. Yeah, I understand him complaining about that. But there are so many plays where it was just not even something to complain about that he's complaining about, and it's freaking frustrating as a fan who doesn't have him on your team.
Why aren't we physical, though? I thought that was going to be our calling card. Tough physical D, right? Well, instead, we just get walked over every freaking game.
Do we have players that are strong enough to be physical without fouling? I guess Justice Winslow, but has he been physical? Like, what has he done defensively lately?
But, I mean, this is the problem. If you're not physical, it's like the whole, that's what the Legion of Boom for Seattle, right? It's like they can't call pass interference on every play, right? So like be more physical. I mean, they still, like I said, they were parading to the free throw line anyway, and we were playing soft. You might as well. But like any contact when you're playing soft looks so much worse than if you're playing physical the whole possession, and then Luca's trying to bait fouls.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with that. Do you think we played physical against Minnesota?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah.
I agree. And it worked out for us.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then against San Antonio, like, I thought our physicality had been better lately. In this game, it wasn't. You gotta be physical with Luca. The problem is, though, Eric, is like, if you're physical with him, he shoots 20 free throws.
Yeah. But at least he's not getting other people involved. Like, Christian Wood doesn't get on fire and start hitting step back and ones, like, we kind of it's like the same thing that happened last game with Dinwiddie at the end. We just seem to make teams comfortable. So I'm all for. I mean, obviously you don't want guys to foul out or anything, but if Luca gets his and no one else is getting comfortable. I mean, we had like Frank Ntilikina gets an open three, and then all of a sudden he's a sniper. like we have players like that against us that just seem to hit threes. Reggie Bullock, I don't think had hit a three all season. That's a joke, but like he had been terrible all season. He's hitting threes because he's wide open. It's like, I just feel like if you just let Luca with his usage rate, then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I haven't touched the ball in 4 minutes. Here's this open three. It's a lot less more comfortable than, oh, every time down the court, here's a pass, boom, 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 swing it to everyone. Everyone touches the ball and someone gets an open shot. Everyone feels good, like they contributed. And I feel like we just let it happen. And until we take some pride and start jumping some of those screens and just being physical and sending out some traps. If you're giving up open shots, who cares? As long as you're forcing some turnovers occasionally to match some of those open shots. But I just don't get not trying to do it differently. Instead, like, this is how it's always been against Luca. Earlier in the season, it was the exact same way. We just let him dictate the whole game.
And that's why I think your point about setting the tone early is very important from Chauncey's perspective. Is I think they were kind of playing more physical to start the game, but then Hart picks up those 2 ticky-tack fouls guarding Luca, and it seemed like the physicality changed after that. Whereas if Chauncey's there getting pissed off, the refs might let more go, and it might fire up his team to keep playing physical. Or if he challenges it and it gets overturned, it gives guys the confidence to maintain the level of physicality that they were playing with to start this game. But those 2 ticky-tack fouls, I think, I don't know, man. It could just be a coincidence, but it seemed to coincide with this game completely falling apart after that good start on top of the bench unit. So, yeah, it's frustrating, though, when Ntilikina's 2 for 3 from 3, Kemba's dusted off and comes in. And
I mean, that was garbage time. But
yeah. But Dinwiddie, 3 for 6, Tim Hardaway, 2 for 3, Luca 5 for 9. Yeah, it's just frustrating when we play defense like this, but also I still think the lack of guy that you can trust to guard Luca consistently is rearing its ugly head. I would have liked to have seen Hart more on him, but those fouls kind of ended that, because I thought Hart played good defense every time he ended up on Luca in this game. Maybe I missed a couple possessions, but I thought he was solid.
Well, he has those 2 possessions where he perfectly gets through the screen, stays in front of Luca, and then gets called for the crappy foul. He gets like punished for playing good defense and getting through a screen.
Yeah, but that's why he should be the guy guarding guys like that.
Yeah. But then, unfortunately, he fell asleep off ball a couple times that led to some open threes. It's frustrating how many times that happens from all the players.
Yeah, Hart's had some lapses off the ball. But Luca plays with the ball so freaking much. Like, put Hart against him. It was just, those fouls were frustrating because I thought Hart, next time we play Dallas, I want to see Hart on him. I know, like, I agree with the point you made earlier about Luca being a better matchup for Jeremy Grant than some of the quicker guards that Chauncey puts him against. But Hart's physical and quick enough and smart enough on the ball in order to play some defense against Luca. And it's just frustrating when he gets those foul calls, because it's like you're not allowing him to play the only type of defense that works, which is trying to fight through screens and then trying to be strong with your chest or kind of stay with him instead of letting him have literally whatever he wants. So this ref crew I thought was terrible today. It was extremely frustrating. That only added to
Malloy.
it. Yeah.
Ed Malloy is secretly like low-key a horrible ref, but that's another story. This is what we talked about all season, though, is Jeremy Grant, when he gets screened, then trails the play and is completely taken out of it, right? And so when you have a guy like Luca and a big like Powell who's rim runner, or Wood who can either pop or rim run, um, like so whether it's Nurk or Eubanks, they have to come up, right? Wouldn't you rather have like Grant then have to be the helper on the big to try to block that lob pass or whatever, rather than Dame or Ant basically getting stuck as that person and them having no chance of contesting a lob at the rim? It just doesn't make any sense to me. I'd much rather just put. I think they tried that in the second half. Unfortunately, the game just got out of control. But yeah, like I don't know. I wish Grant and Nurk were our last line of defense instead of our our up top defense.
Yep, agreed. But yeah, I think I can't get over how bad our bench is, man. I don't know why I thought our bench was going to be good going into this season. Like, I legitimately thought our bench was going, like, oh, well, Dame steps out of the game, and our bench is actually going to be able to build leads or come back against other bench units. I legitimately thought that, and I can't remember what my reasoning was for thinking that, because when I watch them now, it's like, oh my goodness, our bench freaking sucks. Like, why did I ever think that?
Well, I mean, if Naz was playing or improved and didn't get hurt, you expected a jump from him. Obviously, we expected Gary Payton to be back by now. Winslow for spot minutes, I mean, wasn't going to hurt us, but now he's playing, 20 some minutes a game.
But I was never high on Winslow, though. So that wasn't it.
I know, but I'm saying, like you weren't expecting him to play this much, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Well, see, this to me goes back to the Ant thing. Because if Ant's just taking over games with the second unit and not struggling, I don't know what it is. Like, Dame's out, Ant's good without Dame. It's the same thing that happened with CJ. But it's like, if Dame plays, they can't then switch when Dame's not in the game.
Well, I think it's more so like Ant plays the lead guard next to Hart and Nurk and Grant and is able to have enough space. Normally they start Sharpe, who's hit enough threes to space the floor. Normally that's the lineup that Ant is playing with when Dame doesn't play, and it's a lot easier to get going in that lineup than it is. And also, you're playing with the lead guard mindset every second you're in the game, compared to when he's playing with the bench, man. It's like they put the best defensive player on him. He presses up on the perimeter. If Ant drives, whoever's guarding Winslow just runs at him. Whoever's guarding Eubanks, if he's closer, might run at him, and then whoever's guarding Winslow will run to Eubanks, and it just gets absolutely clogged. And the paint is packed. He can't get all the way to the rim. And then his kick-out options are Sharpe, who hasn't shot the three ball well lately, or Justice Winslow, who just 1 for 3 is a good shooting night for him. Like, they'd let him shoot on purpose in this game. But then also, it's like, he can't really work off the ball. They were running Winslow at the top of the key, and Winslow's not even being guarded at all. Like, Dinwiddie was guarding him, and he was sagging into the paint. So it just ends up handing the ball to Simons, and then whoever's guarding Simons will go over that screen, make him run into the paint where Dinwiddie's already waiting, and it's a packed paint, and like, it's almost impossible for Simons to get going with the bench units he's playing with, in my opinion. Like, there's not enough shot creation outside of him. If Jeremy's struggling, he's struggling in this game, they're hopeless, because Jeremy played a little bit with the bench. Sharpe isn't going to create his own shot. Watford kind of can occasionally, but you can't rely on it. So not only is he the only one that can create his own shot in most of the bench units he plays with, he also has guys that don't play well off the ball, that don't space the floor. Like, I don't even think it's Ant. I think it's more so a product of, obviously switching that mindset from playing off a Dame to trying to get going with the bench lineup is more difficult than having that mindset the entire game. But I think he can handle that. I think it's more so the lineups he has to play with.
Yeah, absolutely. Hailblazers with the worst take of the night.
What's that?
Love you, Franco.
What'd he say?
That Ant should come off the bench.
Oh, that's
how does that solve any
bad.
of the problems?
That's bad. Yeah, we're talking about how he struggles playing with the bench, and your solution is to play him less and play him with the bench. That doesn't make sense. I hope he's trolling. Yeah, no, you don't bring a 24 point per game scorer, an all-star caliber player off the bench. Yeah, and who do you start for him? That helps Dame out in the starting lineup. The starting lineup's phenomenal. The starting lineup has been a top 10 defense and might be the best offensive starting five in the league. Like, they've been phenomenal, the starting lineup. If your solution is to switch up the starting lineup, that makes no sense. That makes no sense. Because it's not a problem with the starting lineup, it's a problem with the bench. The starting lineup's been elite. So why would you start a dude who can't make a freaking shot outside of 3 feet? And no, that's no. Sorry, Hillblazers, but man, I no, that doesn't balance anything out. Winslow just sucks, and we should upgrade him, is what it is. Like, Winslow should not be playing for a team trying to win playoff games. If you put Winslow in the starting lineup and you take Ant out in the playoffs, whoever's guarding Winslow is just going to roam and double team Grant and double team Dame. And then you're going to have Nurkic hitting threes because you already have one non-shooter out there. You can't have two. You need Nurkic to hit threes to space the court. If you want to do anything in the post with Nurkic, Winslow's guys doubling him and they're rotating. Any non-shooter that starts in the NBA creates major problems in the playoffs, more so than even in the regular season. Like, to balance things out, starting Winslow, like, makes no sense. They need to upgrade Winslow. Winslow should not be playing minutes for a team with aspirations to contend. That is my opinion. He's not a good enough shooter. He's not a good enough defensive player. How has he really helped us out defensively the past month? Like, he comes in the game and we get completely outscored. I said the numbers earlier, I forget them, but when he came in the game, and even when he was playing against a lineup without Luca, Dallas was still going off against us. Winslow isn't good against guards. He can have an occasional good off-ball play, like he had a big block in this game, but Winslow's just not a good NBA player. And people loved the way he fit after we had guys last year that didn't give effort, that didn't pass the ball at all. You know, Norman Powell, Robert Covington, Rocco couldn't dribble. So he came in and the team looked better. So I think people overrated Winslow because of that. But in terms of a skill set and a talent standpoint, Winslow is not a good NBA player. There's a reason he didn't play for the Los Angeles Clippers. He's always dealing with a nagging injury that is hurting his play, but he's always has a nagging injury. Like, unfortunately, he's a bit injury prone. I think the team needs to upgrade the backup 4 spot. The starting lineup's been elite. You don't need to switch that up. You need to upgrade the bench.
Yeah, I agree. There's some donations that tie into the bench as well.
Yeah, you can read them if you want, or I can. I got them right there.
I got it. So, hold on just a second. All right. Yeah.
Okay.
So Cody Franklin with a $2 donation. Thank you, Cody. We needed Sharpe to figure out his shot again. I mean, that would help, but I mean, we shouldn't be relying on Sharpe for our bench unit. I think that's
2 for 5 from 3 today.
Yeah. I mean, he was fine tonight, but I think that once again that was the problem. I think Sharpe was shooting insanely the first couple weeks of the season, and that made our bench look a lot better than it was because he was just coming in and scoring. You know, one game he had 20 points in 21 minutes or something, and that's going to make your bench look a ton better. But unfortunately, like, you can't depend on that from a rookie the entire season. Like, yeah, if he could consistently shoot, that would help a lot, but he shouldn't have to be the answer or the reason why our bench is good or bad.
Yeah, and I mean, his 3-point shot has really struggled lately, so I'm not, trying to act like it hasn't. Definitely would like to see him shoot better than he has as of recently. On the season after this game, he's 26 for 76, which is 34%. Far cry from the 45% he was shooting to start the year or whatever. But here's the problem, Eric, is this lineup is not conducive for Sharpe either, because he has no room to drive, and he has no room to cut. Like, it's a miracle he's able to get some of these lobs or plays inside when he cuts. We know he can cut. That's also the problem with not having enough spacing with the bench unit, is like a lot of times he's just cutting into 3 defenders or 2 defenders. Like, he doesn't have an opportunity to get to the rim. He had a nice cut, I believe it was in, or maybe it was a play in transition where he kind of airballed the floater or the finger roll and couldn't get all the way to the rim. Now, I think that was more so the transition play, just the way it's set up. But regardless, you would want more spacing, shooters on the floor with the bench lineup, so that Sharpe's cuts have more space, so that a second defender can't help over. Or if he catches the ball on the run towards the rim 15 feet out, he has the space to go put a poster on somebody instead of 2 defenders meeting him 10 feet away from the rim. That's the problem with our bench lineup, is even Sharpe is not conducive for him in him playing off the ball. Like, I think when he ends up playing with the starting unit, yeah, he's had some games where he struggled, but he's also had some of his best performances because guys will find him on cuts and he has space in order to work with. So you can't rely on Sharpe, though. Sharpe needs to be the 9th option, the 8th or 9th option. Sharpe cannot be our best scoring option off the bench. Or, like, it would be one thing if he was our best scoring option and the 3 other guys off the bench were, like, guys that could shoot threes and then guys that played really good defense, but it's not even that. So we're over-relying on Sharpe because the rest of our bench sucks.
He should be the icing on the cake, not part of the cake at this point. I mean, hopefully he's part of the cake moving forward, but, like, you should be, if you get anything from him, like, that should be a bonus, not like, oh, we have to have this from him night in and night out.
Our bench is so bad, Eric. Did you see Eubanks block on Sharpe?
Yeah. Yeah, I did see that. Yep.
He's a rim protector on both ends. Oh, that was so, oh my goodness. That was just the epitome of our bench in this game, is like, oh, Sharpe has a putback dunk. Here comes Eubanks blocking it because he's trying to rebound it too. I mean, I can't even like fault Eubanks too much for going after the board, and I guess he just didn't see Sharpe, but it's it was just cringy. It was bad.
All right, $5 donation from Brian Tadovich. Thank you, Brian. Does Winslow have any trade value, or are we stuck with him? He's not good. Thanks, guys, for the content and hard work. Thank you, Brian. I think, well, I don't know if he has value. I mean, there were some rumors from some teams like Boston who has a trade exception before the season started, but now that they have Robert Williams back as of tonight, I don't know if they necessarily need him. I think that was more Robert Williams being out. I'm sure there is a team that could use his skill set that has a little better shooting on the second unit. So yeah, there might be a team that wants him. I mean, you're not going to get like anything good for him, but I think it's more just his salary in terms of what the Blazers are trying to accomplish. I think if we somehow clear his salary completely or use it as filler in a trade, I think that could be the answer. I'm just not convinced that they're looking at that option right now.
I mean, if they are refusing to look at options for trading a dude who has a true shooting percentage, Eric, of 47%, which is terrible. If you don't know, the average true shooting percentage in the NBA this year is like 57, 58%. For as much hate as Nurk gets for not being able to finish, his true shooting percentage after this game, before this game, it was like 59.6, and he was 6 for 8 tonight, so after this game, it's going to be at 60%. Winslow's 47%. That's terrible. He is easily one of the most inefficient rotation players in the league. Like, especially for a team that's a winning team or trying to win, he is horribly inefficient. Horribly inefficient. And that's with him shooting a higher 3-point percentage than he's had the past 4 seasons. The problem is he can't make layups. He can't finish. He shoots 44% from 2. Doesn't get to the free throw line. And this year he's shooting 71% from the free throw line. That's pretty good. That would be a career high, actually. The last 2 seasons he was below 60%. The problem is he's inefficient from both playing around the rim as well as 3. He's inefficient from every area on the court. And it's so hard to make that work in an offense. And he's not the type of guy who's like gonna put so much pressure on the rim, like he's just gonna drive and suck in the defense and then kick out and make plays. He can pass the ball, like he can make a read and play within the flow of the offense, cut, catch the ball, and quickly swing it. But that's what his passing is. That's what his quote-unquote playmaking is. But that's not even him making a play. That's just him making a read. Like, there's a difference. I don't really know how to explain it, but like Dame, Ant, Jeremy Grant, those guys make plays because those guys will create something off the dribble, suck in multiple defenders, and kick. Winslow doesn't do that. Winslow struggles to even get one guy to guard him. That's how bad he is as a shooter and a scorer. So if it would be different if he was like a lockdown defensive player, but he's not that either. He's an okay defensive player. I think he's overrated defensively. He's just so bleh. He just should not be played, man. I feel like if we traded him or something, or he ended up on a team that wasn't super high on him, he'd be playing overseas in the next couple of years. Like, I truly believe that. I'm not trying to be too tough on him. Okay? I root for him. I have nothing against him. The truth is, he's super inefficient. The stats back that up, and they've backed that up for years. That's just, unfortunately, the truth. And I'm not going to shy away from the truth just because I don't want to be too hard on someone or a player. These guys are paid millions to play basketball at the highest level. Obviously, he's a phenomenal basketball player if you're just talking about your average basketball player. But if you're talking about your average NBA player, he ain't good.
Hyperprime with a $2 donation. Care to give some options to replace Winslow?
Somebody that can make a shot.
I mean, you've already given. If it was up to Torrey, he would have Jalen McDaniels, today.
Yeah, or other options that I maybe cannot, other options. Anyone, dude, like anyone that can shoot 36% from 3, I'd take over Winslow right now. Like, I'd take O'Shea Brissett in a heartbeat over Winslow. I'd take Jalen McDaniels in a heartbeat over Winslow. I'd take any of the guys that we talked about on the last post-game show that we're, if you missed it, definitely go watch that back because we were talking about some trade stuff. But, I'd take a Caleb Martin over him. I'd take, if the Suns don't want to pay Cam Johnson, I'd take him, obviously, because he's a lights-out three-point shooter. I'd take, obviously, I don't know. Give me names, guys. I will respond to any
Grant
of your
Williams.
names. I'd take Grant Williams over him. I'd take, but like, I don't even want to aim as high as Grant Williams. You know what I mean? I don't want to aim as high as Cam Johnson. I don't want to aim as high as even Caleb Martin because he's like a 40% three-point shooter past couple of years and can do stuff off the dribble. I just want somebody that can do either play defense on the ball or shoot threes because Winslow, I don't trust to do either. Like, it's not a high bar, right?
No.
Okay, Rudy Gay sucks. Rudy Gay sucks. But
would you trade Winslow for Rudy Gay right now? If they're just ignore contracts.
No. With Rudy Gay is as bad as Winslow right now. But Rudy Gay's 36, Like, that, he kind of has an excuse. Like, this year in the 17 games he's played, Rudy Gay's shooting 35% from the field and 23% from 3. True shooting percentage.
How many shots has he taken this
42%.
season? I feel like he hasn't really played.
He's taken 89 shots.
Yeah.
Last year he was 41% from the field and 34.5% from 3. Now, if he was in his prime, I'd be like, okay, I trust him to get back towards that. I just think he's just aged to the point where he just isn't good. But, like, if they replace Justice Winslow with Rudy Gay, I don't know if you'd see much of a difference. I don't know. And Rudy Gay can get hot scoring the ball occasionally. But that's the thing is, we're talking about a dude who is 36 years old, played 17 games this year, is shooting 35% from the field and 23% from three, and it's like, okay, well, is that much worse than Winslow? No. Because Winslow's super inefficient, too.
Would you take Carmelo Anthony over Justice Winslow?
Dude,
you
honestly,
could snap your finger and have Melo on the team instead of Winslow. Do you take it? It's a one-time thing, one-time offer.
I can't believe you. I can't believe.
Yes, got him. You're going to take Melo. Oh, my
At
goodness.
least Melo can make a freaking three,
Yes.
and maybe at this point he wouldn't demand ISOs and would just hit spot-up threes. Like, we need a guy that can just knock down a three off the bench.
Yeah.
But, like, it's one of those things where it's like, we need to not settle for Justice Winslow or Carmelo Anthony, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd take Melo over Winslow right now. Believe it or not. If you guys watch the channel during the Melo years, this might shock you, but at least Melo can hit a three.
And at least you can, I mean, he's inefficient at it too, but at least he can sometimes get you a bucket when the offense is completely bogged down.
Yeah. But also, it's like, you don't want him to hijack the offense either with who we have on this team. So that'd be my worry.
Yeah, I mean, like, just sign him and say you're playing like 10 minutes a game and you're coming off the bench and we're not guaranteeing any post-ups or whatever.
I mean, Eric, I know you, like, were super down on the idea of LaMarcus Aldridge before the season, but wouldn't it be nice to just have a big that could maybe shoot threes and then you could give the ball to in the post and he could maybe go get you a bucket off the bench right now?
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be bad.
But we're talking about 37-year-olds. That's our about our benches.
Yeah.
Shout out to Cody Franklin, $5 donor says Danny Meringue is now doing more educational vids and breakdowns, probably a response to the growth of Blazers Uprise? ? Just a theory. I don't know. But yeah, I know he does film, and we don't do film because I just don't risk it with the copyright. But yeah, I don't know. I can't. I should not speak on that. But thank you, Cody, for the $5 donation.
He made you read the name out loud. So
I know. Well, I will read any dono. Anything you guys say in a dono, I will read out loud. All right. That's the rules. So if you guys come through with a bunch of ridiculous stuff, but it's in a dono, like, okay, at least it's in a dono, you know, I still have to say it. You could probably get me saying some wild stuff, but I will censor any curse words. I don't even think YouTube will let you curse in a dono, will they, Eric? Have we ever seen a curse word in a dono?
Wasn't that Zach trying it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Zach tried it once and it worked.
Yeah.
But he's also a mod, so
Yeah.
who knew, you know?
Yeah.
But Taylor, I mean, that wouldn't surprise me if that was a direct response, and then 3 good plays or 4 good plays get cherry picked, and you know it's the best pick and roll defense that Grant played all season. I don't know, like we try and break down what goes right or goes wrong without trying to cherry pick stuff to fit a certain narrative. But a lot of the times, like, the narratives we have is just based on what we see. So what we do in Brain's Breakdown, Eric, I don't want to speak to you, but it's like a direct reflection of what we're talking about because we just talk about what we see, and it's not slanted.
That's like how I watch the game. Yeah, I'm just saying that. I'm not doing it as a response to any narrative or something like that, you know?
Yeah, like if Greg came out here and just like busted his ass on Luca and got through pick and rolls, well, we might win this game, you know what I mean? And we was talking about, dang, did you see Grant the way he was getting through screens? Like
Like I
We've
said,
been
I
waiting
didn't
all
have
year for that. You know what I mean? We'd be hype. Like we'd be talking about it. But I mean, Jeremy Grant sucked at years for getting through screens, so it's no surprise that he still kind of sucks getting through screens. And as a big guy, it's hard to get through screens. But how many times do we see him take 2 steps back when the screen is coming and then try and run over the screen? Why are you taking the time to take a step backwards when you have to make up that ground by taking a step forwards to go over the screen? Like, you're literally just slowing yourself down by taking a negative step and then stepping forwards. Like, you know what I mean? But that's the thing. We'll break down what he's doing wrong, that sort of thing. Wish it was, wish we did film.
Well,
but
I mean, there was a few shows ago where I basically said you don't really know basketball if you think that him trailing the play is a good idea. And then, yeah, there was some Reddit post about, like, whether...
God, I didn't read it because Reddit hates me especially. I don't know
but,
why.
But, like, they were questioning, like, why we question it and no one else seems to, and all that stuff. And here's the deal. Like, a lot of the responses were like, well, everyone's bad at getting through screens, and like, even Hart struggles getting through screens. And again, the point this whole time has been, if everyone sucks at getting through screens, would you rather have Jeremy Grant and Yusuf Nurkic waiting for them in the paint and at the rim, or Anthony Simons and Damian Lillard in the paint and Yusuf Nurkic and Jeremy Grant standing at the three-point line guarding shooters or whatever? Like, that's the whole point. It has nothing to do with, like, Jeremy Grant could all of a sudden become the best screen navigator in the league if he's still trailing the plays and not protecting the rim at all and never in a position to do that, and we have Anthony Simons and Damian Lillard as our help defenders. To me, that's not putting your players in the best position to succeed. So you can show me clips all you want of Jeremy Grant. Oh, look at this screen he navigated. Look how he shuts down this. You still have him at the top of the three-point line every play away from the rim, and he's never a factor at the rim. And no wonder our rim protection stats suck.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So anyway. Yeah. Anybody that says that Jeremy Grant's been good getting through pick and rolls this season, is lying. I saw a stat on a forum, Eric, that was basically like the Blazers' pick and roll defense against the pick and roll ball handler and the pick and roll big man has actually been in the top 5 of the league. But they give up a ton of corner threes and they're almost all wide open, right? And one could sit there and be like, oh, wow, look at that. It's actually not our pick and roll defense at all. Our pick and roll defense is elite against the pick and roll ball handler and the pick and roll big man. But guess what? It's probably good because Grant's getting screened out of plays. You have guards as the help guy who have to completely help over because they can't make a play from the side against a guy driving. They don't have the length or the athleticism that a Jeremy Grant does, or the size of a Yusuf Nurkic. So you have these guys that are over collapsing into the paint. What happens when the main pick and roll ball handler defender gets screened out of a play and that ball handler turns the corner off the screen? The other guy's over help. What does that give up? It gives up corner threes.
You mean like Luca this entire game?
Yes. Like, that's the thing is like, yeah, like we are. So I don't know. That's the thing with any sort of stat like that. It can be cherry picked, or you can exclude certain context to make something look good or look bad. But it's like, if we're defending the pick and roll and we are collapsing hard on the pick and roll from the perimeters, yeah, our defense against the pick and roll specifically is probably going to be really, really good. But what does it give up? It gives up wide open threes because we have so many guys collapsing into the paint. And a lot of times we have so many guys collapsing because we don't get through screens. But, you could sit there and say, oh, well, look, they're not scoring when Jeremy Grant's the pick and roll ball handler defender. They're not scoring out of the pick and roll when Jeremy Grant's defending the pick and roll. So that's the thing that's the problem when people pursue a narrative with their analysis is stuff will get cherry picked, context will be ignored, and that's my problem with a lot of analysis.
Well, it's the same with the Eubanks stuff today. It's all people that have been talking about how Eubanks is better than Nurk and have been had an anti-Nurk agenda for the entire season and further than that.
Yeah, I mean, but that's the thing is, I see a stat like that, the .88 points as a switch big man. The first thing I ask is, okay, what is the context behind that stat? What is it including as possessions that count towards that stat? And what is it discluding as possessions that could maybe hurt that stat? Because that's the thing, when you break down a specific play and a specific result, what about if the team covers for the initial defense and it opens up something secondary, or the ball gets swung into a different mismatch and then the ball gets entered to Gobert in the post against Anthony Simons because Eubanks switched out onto a guard. That's not Eubanks getting scored on, switched out onto a guard, so that's not, his stats might look great, but him switching a lot is creating problems elsewhere. So okay, maybe a situation where if you had a bunch of switchable defenders that could then guard bigs, maybe he'd be fine. But for this roster specifically, he should absolutely not be switching as much as he switches. And it doesn't even have anything necessarily to do with his pick and roll defense or his, defense when switched out onto guards. There's more than that in a defensive play. Like, defense is complex. That's why there has never been a metric you can point to and say, okay, see, this means that this player is a good defender, or this means this player is a bad defender. Offensive numbers, you can say, oh, this guy is making a high percentage of his shots and scoring 30 points per game. He's a really good offensive player. It's very clear, cut, and dry. Defense, there's a ton of noise with advanced analytics. There's no one perfect stat, and everything's noisy, and things can be cherry-picked to no end. That's why I analyze defense a lot more with the eye test, where offensively I analyze it more with numbers. That's the problem I have when people, want to pursue certain narratives on the defensive end, is you can probably find any sort of stat you want that paints it out as this player is good at this, or this player is better than this player at that. If Eubanks is better than Nurkic defensively, I'll sit here and throw this out there just to prove my point. With Damian Lillard, Anthony Simons, Josh Hart, and Jeremy Grant, when you have Yusuf Nurkic next to those four guys, there's a defensive rating of 111. When you have Drew Eubanks next to those four guys, there's a defensive rating of 116. Okay, there you go. Nurkic is better than Eubanks then, right? But that's just one specific stat that I'm ignoring a lot of context to that could potentially go into that. And defensive rating when trying to analyze an individual is very noisy. Now it's less noisy when you have...
Minute sample size is different too.
Yeah, minute sample size. I've taken statistical analysis courses in college. Statistical analysis is more
about your college.
Oh, more about my college. God dang it, man. Shoot. But that's the thing when talking about stats and that sort of thing. That's kind of my whole rant is don't just always question the context behind a defensive stat and what goes into it.
Yeah, and the bottom line, this is what it always comes down to for me. Okay, let's just say Jeremy Grant has been amazing at navigating screens and pick and roll defense, right? He's by far the best player in the league at, let's say, every metric showed that he is the best pick and roll defender in the league, okay? Why the heck is our defense 24th then? If we have the fourth best pick and roll defender and we're putting him on every team's best player, shouldn't we be really good at defense then?
Well, why is the starting lineup good and non-starting lineups bad?
And if Drew Eubanks is the best pick and roll switcher big in the league, why is our defensive rating with our second unit the worst in the league?
Yeah, so why did our second unit get absolutely eviscerated today, Eric?
See, this is why, like you said, you can't just take a stat and pigeonhole it and say, no, look at this defensive analytics, it shows this. Because the bottom line is, none of that crap matters unless you're a top defense. If you have a top 10 defense, if we were, let's just say we were 6th still, like we were the first couple weeks of the season, right? And you could say, dude, Tori and Eric, you guys are wrong. we have the sixth best defense, and Jeremy Grant is fourth at navigating screens, right? I like, how can we dispute that? Like, it's working. Like, despite everything we're seeing, somehow it's still working, right? But it's not. Like, our defense sucks. So, like, I don't understand how you could defend all these people. Like, we have the best switchable big in the league, and he should be starting, and we have like one of the best pick and roll ball handler defenders in the league, but our defense is trash. Like, it doesn't add up. Like, just think about it that way. Like, okay, so why is our defense terrible then?
Yeah, well,
and don't say it's because of Nurk or whatever, because Nurk is better than Eubanks. All the stats prove that. So, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, apparently there's a, an hour and a half video we could go watch on how to, where we could learn how to watch NBA games, Eric. But, yeah, if I ever reference the fact that I know how to watch because I have actually had to learn these things myself and learn schemes and where to be, same schemes that they run in the NBA. It's, you think you're an NBA player? You suck. 2.2 points per game in college, right? Well, what is anyone's credibility as a media guy or myself or you or anyone to sit here and say, this is how you watch an NBA game then? You know what I mean? That's my whole thing is a lot of it can be subjective, man. I don't know. Like, I don't sit here and try and say, I don't know where I'm going with this, dude. It's just,
well, I mean, there's so many ways you can look at it, and with any sport, there's someone that can never play but analyze it beautifully, and there's people that play. You could be a 20-year NBA vet and you get in front of a mic trying to explain what's happening and break it down, and you sound like a moron. Like, it doesn't. It's very nuanced. Like, there's no possibility that there's one right answer for everything, and that's why I hate when anyone says anything about anyone's opinions or the way they go about analyzing a game. If you want to watch a game and just watch it and have fun watching it and not care about any of the stuff that Tori and I talk about, then I have no problem with that either. But, like, if you want to, like, break down every single little detail, every play, that's fine too. Like, it doesn't really matter. Like, I'm not going to tell anyone how to watch a game or how to analyze a game.
Mm-hmm. But, like, here's the thing too, is people who have disagreed with me in chat this year, I've challenged them to, like, explain, you know what I mean? Like, if people disagree with me, I want them to come with as good of an argument as possible. Because if I have a basketball debate with you or with somebody that, like, I know, knows the game, it can broaden my viewpoint and make me smarter as a basketball fan and as somebody that analyzes basketball on YouTube. That's why when people come and chat, how many times have I told you guys this season, if you go to NBA.com and you go to the Blazers box score and you click on a specific stat, you can see all the plays that coincided with that specific stat. So you can see all of Luca's buckets, all of Dwight Powell's buckets, all of Luca's assists, all of the Mavericks threes as a team. Like, you can go through all of that, and then you can come back and say, this is what I noticed. This is different than what you're saying you noticed. Guess what? If we have a conversation about it, the result of that conversation is probably just a more educated opinion, because that's the thing, is defense is not simple. People try and make defense out like it is simple, and it's not at all. It's actually more complex than offense. Offense, how many times do you see just a basic pick and roll, somebody shoots a jumper off the pick and roll? It's beautiful and it's fun, but it's not anything super complex. Like, oh, Dame came off a Nurkic screen and had the space to shoot a three and shot a three. Right? Now, there are sets that are complex, but defense, every possession... Defense is complex in the NBA. You have to be in the right position. You have to help. You have to rotate out. You have to recover. You have to know your opposition. You have to know if this is so-and-so coming off a screen, I should go under. If it's, obviously a Steph Curry or Dame, you go over. If it's somebody that doesn't shoot mid-range, then you can drop more. Or maybe you trap against a specific player, and the guys behind that have to know all those rotations, and you switch up schemes. If you're a good defensive team, you switch up schemes a lot. Like, it's very, very complex. So that's the thing is, after every game, there's no one post-game show where it's like, I know everything that went wrong or went right defensively in this game, because there's so much, and if you pay attention to the ball, you're going to miss a ton. That's why I challenge people that come in here. I try and empower the chat. I try and empower you guys to say, okay, go view film and let me know what you think and let me know what specifically you disagree with. But that's why I have a problem with arguments where it's like, well, you're wrong. Grant's a great pick-and-roll defender. He ranks 4th. And I hate that for all the reasons that I talked about in terms of cherry-picking stats. Anyway.
There's another donation. Let's just read it and end this conversation. Move on.
I read the last one. You got to read
Tony
this
Franklin,
one because I don't want to read this one.
Danny Murray is a spin artist being exposed by you. We're not trying to expose anyone. It's just funny. Like, I mean, this is all brought up by you guys. So I blame you, Cody. But
yeah, I don't like, dude. I've beefed with him in the past. I don't want to beef with him. Like, I don't want the drama of it. I don't care. Like, he can go in and say whatever he wants, but I just want you guys to know how I think you should view it. Like, how I view it and how I think you guys should perceive stuff when it's not the total picture. And that's the thing is, I'm never fully right. You're never fully right. Basketball is bigger than any one person can understand. Like, you can't have a full understanding of the game of basketball, because once you do, the time that it takes to have a full understanding of the game of the basketball, by the time you learn all that, the game will have changed. How many coaches do we see that are good coaches, but then the game starts to change and all of a sudden they're not good anymore? Like, George Karl was one of those coaches, right? The game is constantly evolving, constantly changing. We have a player on our team that has changed the game with his deep threes. Stretch defenses out more than ever. Change the way defenses have to guard a pick and roll with that specific player. You used to be able to run drop scheme all the time. Can't anymore. So that's my whole thing is, even if we disagree with you, opinions are valid. Just try and back it up with as much reasoning as possible. But also know that pretty much every defensive stat you see is not the total picture and doesn't encapsulate the total picture. And defensive stats can easily be cherry-picked. So, if you have somebody telling you this is how you watch a game, this is what the stats say. Stats say Jeremy Grant's 4th in pick-and-roll defense as the defender. How do you even quantify that specifically?
Mm-hmm. Well, Gordon asks a question that kind of ties into this. Could there be a reason why Chauncey does certain things defensively, though, since you guys highlight him having the same issues every game? Just thinking genuinely, I don't know any better.
I'll let you.
Well, here's the thing, and this ties into what I was saying about the Blazers kind of feeling themselves when they go on a win streak and then they let up. It's like, yeah, their defense has been good enough to, heading into this game, be 16-12. But would you necessarily say it's been great to the point where in the playoffs, like, you could lock a team down, or like, going into this game against Luca, that we felt comfortable like they would have a good game plan to do that? The thing is, like, it seems to me like after games they're like, oh, our defense was so good, like we stepped up when it mattered and all this stuff. So, and then you can point to all these analytics like, oh, it's working and stuff, but we've heard how many times them say the offense or the defense needs to be less predictable, and it's completely predictable. Like, we can predict every game that Jeremy Grant's going to be on their primary ball handler and all that kind of stuff. And yeah, so I just wish they would switch it up. We've heard Chauncey say you have to be physical. Were we physical tonight? Like, do we impose our will on other teams? Do we make it like hell for them to play? Like, all the things that Chauncey said we had to do. No, I don't feel like we're doing any of that stuff. Now we're getting away with it too because our offense has been unbelievable the last couple
Yeah.
weeks.
I mean, I think we do it inconsistently.
Yeah.
Is what I'd say. And also some of it's on the players to just bring that level of physicality. Like Chauncey can only preach it as much. You know what I mean? I don't know.
And also too, I mean, a lot of it is so like right now, we saw this with Stotts for years, right? There was times where the offense even was best in the league or among the best in the league at offense, and we go into a playoff series when a team has the time to game plan, and then you're playing the same team game and game again, and we just think it's going to be, oh, we just have to do our thing and execute, right? And we'll be fine. There was no adjustments, nothing happening. But like in the regular season, you know, we play a back-to-back tomorrow night. Do you think we're like super locked in game plan wise against Houston?
We play tomorrow? Crap. Oh no. I forgot we played tomorrow.
Yeah.
We gotta do this all again tomorrow. All right.
Yeah. So like tomorrow we're playing Houston, right? So, and we've actually caught a lot of teams on the second night of back-to-backs this year. The thing is, like, how detailed of a game plan can you have for a team playing on a second night of a back-to-back? And that happens a lot throughout the course of the season. Whether it's a back-to-back or one day in between, you might not even have a full practice. Maybe you just have a walkthrough and get guys treatment and stuff. And we hear all the time how there's not a lot of time for practice during the regular season outside of breaks where you have 3 or 4 days off in between. So, like, game plans aren't as locked in, so you can get away with a lot of this stuff now. But I guarantee you, in a playoff series against Dallas, say, they're going to torch us if we continue to play this kind of coverage. And just like we saw tonight, like, we'd have no answer. We have no counter to what they're doing. We have nothing to go to stop that. Okay, so Jeremy Grant's good at it. What happens when it's not working, like tonight? Like, what are we doing differently to do that? So that's my problem is, like, you need to be able to work all this stuff out now throughout the season. So in the playoffs, you can throw multiple coverages at a team and be unpredictable. And until that happens, I just think we're going to continue to struggle, A, when we play good teams, and B, when we get into playoff series where good coaches have time to game plan for it.
Yep. Basketball's a complex game, man. I just I hate when people try and oversimplify it. It's complicated, and we try and encapsulate all that with the way we analyze things, but it's not easy. But we try our best. And I truly try not to make any of my analysis based on a specific slant, because I feel like a lot of analysis out there is based off a specific slant, or a specific bias, or it's trying to push a specific narrative. I was saying before the season starts, I don't think Jeremy Grant will be able to get through screens. Like, I think he struggles getting through pick and rolls, and that was based on the footage that I'd watched before. I wouldn't just come to that opinion for the hell of it. And nothing I've said is based on that, because I said, well, maybe Chauncey can get the best out of him. Maybe Chauncey can fix some of his flaws. I would love to see that. But the thing is, if Jeremy Grant was if he was better getting through ball screens, yeah, our pick and roll defense might not be better statistically, but we wouldn't have to help as much.
Mm-hmm.
So
we would give up less percentage of uncontested threes, and yeah.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I truly, like, I am somebody that struggles to bite my tongue in regards to talking about specific people that do things similar to us, but I know I should, and I'm not even comfortable with how far we've got into this whole thing, but at the same time, I will read off any dono message, and this is all on you guys. You guys are responsible. So, but I don't feel comfortable talking about that other podcast because I feel like I shouldn't say what I want to say. And I don't like that feeling.
What's your favorite Buffalo Wild Wing sauce?
We need to do another one of those bets. Honey barbecue is probably my go-to. Honey barbecue with the ranch. I love myself some ranch. I'll eat ranch on pizza. I'll also eat pineapples on pizza. I know that's a hot take, but yeah, honey barbecue is probably mine. What about yours?
Yeah, I'm not a spicy guy. So yeah, I'm honey barbecue too. I like teriyaki as well, but yeah.
So many of you guys probably missed this, but during the pandemic back in like April of 2020, May of 2020, we had some sort of bet on a singular picks against the spread day, and whoever lost had to eat the hottest buffalo wing on stream, and I lost, and I had to eat it. But that was back when we were getting like 10 viewers a stream during the pandemic, back when the channel was small, and everybody was worried about the world being on fire. So that's a moment of history. We'll maybe have to do that again or come up with something different. But shut up, Reese. Shout out Kyle Wilson with the $5 dono. Says, I don't know what's worse. Us getting blown out by Dallas. The Mariners not doing anything in free agency. I know, so spoiled. You're going to get me ranting about that. Or Pokemon ending after 25 years. Sad face emoji. Pokemon ended? Like the cartoon?
Wait. I thought they were just moving on to Pokemon post-Ash. I don't think they're ending Pokemon completely, are they?
I don't know.
Let me rephrase that. There's no way they're ending Pokemon.
Kyle said, yep. I think they're ending the cartoon. Because like a lot of it's like gaming now.
They're ending it focused on Ash, I think.
Oh, well, isn't Ash Pokemon? Like, how do you have a Pokeball without Ash? I don't even watch Pokemon, and I know Ash. So, I don't know. Honestly, what's worse for me is, I don't know. Getting blown out by Dallas sucks. The Mariners thing sucks too, because it's like the Blazers every year in free agency. We always get bummed out, right? And then the Mariners, it's like they're coming off their first playoff run in 21 years. Did you see what Passan said, Eric?
Yeah, I saw your crybaby response.
Crybaby response?
You proved how spoiled you are.
No. Yeah, no. So I'm 26 years old. Yeah, I'm 20. Why did I say that like a question? I'm 26 years old.
You're spoiled.
This past year was the first time I'd ever seen the Mariners make the playoffs. First time they made it in 21 years. Now, fans want the team to spend money on free agents. Obviously, they just made the playoffs, have a great young core, don't have the highest payroll or anything close to the highest payroll in the league, and they want the Mariners to go after like a star free agent or two, because if the Mariners went out and got, a star free agent on top of the trade they made for Teoscar Hernandez, you could be talking about the Mariners winning a World Series next year. They just need a couple extra bats. And the Mariners have done absolutely nothing, and fans are frustrated with that. And basically, baseball's equivalent of woes had a comment saying that Mariners fans were spoiled for being upset about that. Eric, how in the world is a fan base who's seen one playoff series in 21 years spoiled?
I think the point is just that they're taking the long-term approach and not, because honestly, you could make a case that not getting saddled with a really big contract that could age poorly if you were a small market team could be beneficial. The Mariners, I don't believe, really have any bad contracts right now, right?
No, they don't. But here's the problem. If you keep doing everything by trade, you're not going to have enough of a farm system in order to have that sort of future. Like, you need to go out and spend some money, because they're only like one or two bats away. They have the pitching staff.
Robbie Ray is probably their worst contract.
Yeah, Robbie Ray's pretty bad.
Other than him, I think all their contracts are like $11 million or less.
Yeah, can be he's like our fourth starter. He's fine as our fourth starter. Just shouldn't start him in a playoff series or use him the way they did. But that's the thing. Our pitching staff, phenomenal. Our bullpen last year, phenomenal. We added Teoscar Hernandez, good trade. We added another bat. We add one or two more bats because you got to compete with Houston, and Houston just 1 through 7, 1 through 8. phenomenal hitting lineup, and then of course they got the pitching on top of that, even though they lost Verlander. Just need a couple bats and we can compete for a freaking World Series after missing the playoffs for 20 years, and we just won't even go out and take the risk to make a signing because we're worried about spending in 2026.
Okay, I know you're a young fan, but so all throughout my life, the Mariners have made like a huge splashy signing.
I mean, yeah, and they have. I've been paying attention since 2006.
It's end up like sucking, and they end up having to like pay to trade that player or get him off their payroll or something like that. It doesn't
even have to be anybody. Like,
no, I know. I'm just saying, like,
friggin' Correa, but.
But like
they haven't had good luck, but they've never had this good of a team to take that risk. It was always like, oh, why are you making this splash signing even though we're still not good enough to get into the playoffs? And then it sucks.
But the thing is, in baseball, like, you don't have to match salary in trade. So there are teams that dump good players because they don't want to pay them. So just because you haven't done that yet, it is possible to get good players for fairly cheap if that happens. It's
frustrating just being on the doorstep finally, and they won't make one signing. Can't even get like a cheaper option. A Benintendi would have been nice, or something like. Just do something.
But I mean, like, those guys also have to want to go to Seattle, and
like the whole thing is they're not going after anyone.
Yeah,
that's my problem. So yeah, I get it. Their signings in the past have sucked, but it's like they weren't in position where it's like, oh, we should go sign Robinson Cano to a $300 million contract, and because they still weren't good enough to make the playoffs. They made the playoffs last year with a very young roster, but a very good roster. So now's the time you make that type of signing and take that type of risk.
I think, but yeah, I guess you can make the case that during the Felix years they kind of wasted him, but like, Julio's still young enough to where they can be a little patient and wait, a year or two for the perfect player to pair with him. And I would hate to have that possibility ruined because you signed someone, too soon. But I mean, I get your point why you're frustrated. But they did make 2 trades at least. They did bring in a couple players. It's not like they've done absolutely nothing.
Phenomenal, obviously. Yeah, Teoscar's fun, man. It's just like I'd rather Teoscar, however you say his first name. Is it Teoscar or Teosco?
It's Teoscar.
Why did I think it was Telsc?
Why
did I think it was Teosco? It's Teoscar. Yeah, I'm tripping. But I mean, that was a dude who hit 2 home runs against us in that insane game 2 of the wild card. Yeah, it's with an R. Dude was phenomenal. Dude hit 2 homers on us in that insane wild card game where we were down 8-1, came back, won 10-9. But I'd rather sign that type of player if possible than trade farm pieces for him. Like if you can sign that sort of player for a similar contract, you do it. I don't know what his contract is. I'm not as well versed on baseball as I am on basketball, obviously. I pay so much attention to basketball, but not as much to baseball. But I'd rather, keep the farm system and try and add players in free agency compared to trade the farm system.
Well, he's an example of a player I think he's got 1 more year left on his deal, and then he's has no more years of arbitration, so he's going to be a free agent. You have to pay him next summer. So that's an example of a player you got relatively cheap, or cheaper than he should have been, because the other team just didn't want to pay him.
Yeah. Basically, we're going to keep talking about baseball and see how long it takes for us to get under 100 concurrent viewers. That's our goal right now.
Keep people's mind off this stupid game tonight.
Yeah. Or Pim says Tori watched NASCAR. We could talk. Yeah, let's do that. We'll be under 100 in no time.
It is not NASCAR season right now, so until that starts back up again. Yeah.
Maybe I'll have to.
Yeah. The Reds suck. They don't sign anyone either, so...
At least our Niners are good,
don't
Eric.
Hear me crying about NASCAR. Yeah, the Niners clinched the division last night. That was nice. Yeah. How about who do you got in the World Cup final?
Well, I don't know. I know Messi is a player, and I know France has Mbappe. Yeah. Connor, are you here? Are you proud of... Connor's not here. Yeah. Oh God, Taylor's gonna make me defend NASCAR. I'm gonna take. I think Messi gets it done. It just seems like storybook ending. Finally get his World Cup.
Yeah. Yep. That'd be cool.
But Taylor says I don't understand liking NASCAR. Oh wow, those cars are driving in circles real fast. Well, I could sit here and say I don't understand people liking football. Oh wow, guys run into each other, concuss each other, fall down, get back up, and then 40 seconds later do it again for 5 seconds. You know what I mean? Like you can make any sport sound dumb, man. You can make anything sound dumb.
Anything with competition is good. I don't know.
Yeah.
We don't have to hate.
Yeah. I don't know. Like, if you understand the nuances of any sport, you'll enjoy it more. That's the truth. I don't know cricket, but I assume if I knew the nuances of it, I'd enjoy it more. When I learned a little bit more about rugby, I enjoyed watching it more. Still won't watch rugby, really, but I understand why people like it. I don't really hate on any sport at all.
What do you think of slap fighting?
Slap fighting?
Have you seen that news?
Yeah. That's just... Okay, okay, that's the line. I'll draw the line there. That's just... I don't understand that.
How do you think
either
you'd
fight
be at
or
slap
don't.
fighting?
I think I'd be pretty good. I feel like...
I feel like you couldn't take a slap.
You feel like I couldn't take a slap?
Yeah.
I could take a slap. I don't feel pain, Eric. You don't know.
Okay.
You don't know that? Only heartbreak. That's the only thing I know. Shout out Brian Tavish for $2 donut. Says, for Tori's haircut GoFundMe. Brian, let's see your haircut. $2 doesn't even cover the tip. Have you seen chess boxing? No. There's like a big event a couple of days ago. It's chess boxing. It's you start off with a round of chess. You play chess for 2 minutes, and each person has like 5 minutes on the clock. And it's on like this platform that they then raise up above the ring, and then it's like 2 minutes of boxing. And it's like if you knock somebody out, or give them 3 standing 8 counts in 1 2-minute round, you win it via boxing. But then if you don't do it that way, then if you get checkmated or run out of time in chess, then you lose. And that was like a big YouTube event. That was, kind of right up my alley since I play a lot of chess. If any of you are around 1600 rated on chess, hit me up. We can play some chess together. But yeah, it was a big YouTube event. It was kind of entertaining, not gonna lie. But
nice.
Chess boxing is fun. Anyway.
Since you didn't, this might have had a different context for you since you forgot we played tomorrow. But we haven't talked about this. What do you think of Chauncey yanking everyone and benching them in the middle of the third quarter?
I'm fine with it considering we play tomorrow. I don't know. It was like these guys aren't getting it done no matter what. So
we're down 25.
Yeah, they were not going to come back. They would have had to string together stops.
Mm-hmm. I've been asking for him to do that. Now it's pretty easy to do when you're down 25, and it was obvious we were not coming back in this game. So it's kind of an easy way out of it. But I kind of like to see that more if there's... I mean, you don't have to bench them for the rest of the game or anything, but just like bench them for a minute and send a message like that. I've been saying that for a long time. If you see the effort you saw tonight in that third quarter and second quarter, just send a message.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. I mean, you got to take care of business tomorrow. You take care of business tomorrow, you're fine, right? End up 17-13. Like, I was expecting 4-2 on this trip. We're 1-1. We ended it with Denver on the road in Denver. That's going to be tough. But these next 3 games, Houston, then OKC twice. Got to try and take care of them all. At least got to win 2 out of the next 3 is what I'd say for this road trip. But we'll have like automated standings. Like we're working on recoding everything so that we'll have like standings automatically generated. But we're still 6th right now. We're half a game behind 5th, which is Sacramento. We're only 2.5 games behind 2nd, which is New Orleans. So we're fine. We were just 4th. Now we're 6th. Like every team in the West, it kind of sucks because it's like one loss means instead of being 3rd, you're like 6th or 7th. Right. And it's like, dang, if we could just win, especially when it's a close game, if we just won this game, we'd be 2nd right now. But also, every team in the West is having games that they lose or lose like this. I think every team in the West in the past couple of weeks has had a blowout loss, except maybe New Orleans. They've played phenomenal, in Memphis. They've been really good. but every other team in the West is like playing 500 ball recently.
Yeah, I just can't get in a situation where you lose like 3 out of 5 or something like that on this road trip. And yeah, so hopefully they take care of business.
Yep.
Beavers play tomorrow too.
Yeah, your Beavers. What time do they play?
It's at 11:30, so
nice.
Early game. Yeah,
full sports day for you tomorrow.
Yep. They're playing Florida with like half their team, so hopefully they can beat them.
Yeah,
because that would look good on paper, even if it's lame beating the team without their players.
Yeah, still though, bowl win. I mean, cap off a great season for you guys, and you guys are on the come up. Mm-hmm. Shout out to Kyle Wilson too. He got the Beaver logo as his avatar. You're a big Beaver fan.
Does Washington play Texas?
I don't know. I don't.
I think they do, which is the same kind of thing. Like Texas isn't that good, but it's still like one of those programs where if you beat them, it looks really good for your program.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I just don't pay much attention to college football. It's hard to get into it. I edit for a dude who has a college football channel named Scott Fisher. I don't know if any of you are familiar or watch any of his content, but I've edited a lot of videos for him. So I know a little bit more. Like I edited a video on Tutu Atwell's background, and now I might have to start him in my fantasy football playoff this week because my team's injured. Debo's out. Cortland Sutton, he might play this week, but he's been injured, and DJ Moore's questionable. So yeah, I might just start Tutu Atwell. Maybe it was a sign. I edited a video on him, and now I start him, and he goes off and wins me a fantasy football playoff matchup somehow. Which I don't even know how I made my playoff. I was like 3-6, ended up 7-7, beat out you, Eric, for the tiebreaker. I had a few more points scored. We were both 7-7. Tough season for both of us. I feel like I'm gonna get smoked in the playoffs, but yeah, fantasy was weird this year.
It was.
Kieran asks, is there a chess section in the Discord? Let me check. If you go to game rules on Discord, you can opt into roles and then people can tag them. I need to do a better job pushing like specific Discord features because I just tell you guys to join the Discord, but there's stuff we do in there that I feel like a lot of people don't know. We need to add a chess section. That's right. That would be cool to add a chess section. Grant, I'll get Grant on that, but yeah, we have game threads every game. We had one today for the Mavericks, so you guys can talk live during a game in our Discord. Join our Discord. There's a link in the description box below. It's the #1 place for the Blazers Uprise community. There's voice chats and some cool stuff we're going to do in the future with like a watch party chat. Probably we haven't done a live watch party in a while, but we're doing an in-person watch party, not a stream, an actual in-person watch party on January 2nd in Northeast Portland at Alberta Abbey. We're going to have a game stream like on a projector, and then we're going to do a live post-game stream from there on the 2nd. Blazers are playing the Pistons at 7 p.m. Doors will open at 6. There's a link to buy a ticket in the description box below where it says buy watch party tickets here. That link, use that to buy tickets if you want to meet up with us on January 2nd for a Blazer game and a live post-game show. If you're a channel member, go and check the community tab for a discount code. That'll be specific towards your level of membership. We got starter, all-star, superstar. We don't have any MVP members. No MVPs, but yeah, definitely check that out. And Eric Golson, that would be entertaining. That would make for good content, I'm sure. Anyway, I don't even feel like going through scores, Eric, honestly. Did you want to? I'm just kind of chilling tonight. It's a Friday night. We're off topic. This game freaking sucked. We have the scores on the bottom, so you guys have probably already seen them all. But we are currently working on getting everything coded graphically and that sort of thing. So definitely be on the lookout for that. Talk about the Timberwolves box score. Okay, we got a request from our mod, and since it's our mod, I'll do it, Eric. I have no idea what's up with the Timberwolves box score or why Trevor wants us to talk about it, but let's do it. Oh, I know why he wanted me to talk about this. You know who... yeah, I did tweet this out. You know who could help with our bench scoring and shooting? The guy who had
Naz Reed.
28 points, 9 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 steals, and a block today. Naz Reed, that was his stat line against the Thunder. Plus 21 in 37 minutes. And they won by 2. Because Nathan Knight was their backup center, I guess, because they didn't play with Gobert and Cat's out, obviously. And D'Angelo Russell's out. So Naz Reed, 28 points. I want him in a Blazer uniform, Eric. So bad. Unfortunately, he's playing his way into being a first-round pick value territory. Dang.
Yeah, that's bad. Bad game if you want.
I know.
Him to be traded.
He's. I've always liked Naz Reed, man. They have Cat and Gobert, and Naz Reed's their best center. I'm just kidding. But Austin Rivers, 6 for 7. Is pretty efficient, 20 points. Great game for him. Anthony Edwards had 19 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists. And they beat the Thunder 112 to 110. OKC had 41 in the third, but then 19 in the fourth. We'll see the Thunder soon. Eugene, how do you say his last name? Omarui? He played at Oregon? How do you say? Do you know how to say his name, Eric?
I think that was pretty close.
Omarui? Chat, let me know. Oregon fans, let me know if I said his name right. But he had 14 and 21 minutes off the bench. So maybe he'll be the Blazer killer a couple games from now.
Maurice, yeah, Chet's out for the entire season.
OKC's been competitive in a lot of games this year. They're not a pushover. If they end up getting some lottery luck, they could be a playoff team next year. If you add Chet in like a top lottery pick to that team, and then maybe they finally make a trade and get better, I don't know. That team's going to be dangerous, though.
David Cutsar with a $2 donation. Are you related to the Locked On Blazers dude? LOL.
Me?
I'm
yeah, that's my
you,
uncle. Yeah, that's
Mike
my
Richmond.
uncle.
No, we are not related to Mike Richmond. Yeah.
Why, do I look like him? What? How does he do the intro? Should I start?
Or do you act like him or something?
I don't think I act like him. What is his intro, chat?
He seems like a fine person. We don't have anything against him. But yeah, we are not.
The question is, does he have something against us? We don't know.
We're not related to him,
though. I do look like him? Is that a compliment? Oh, yeah, in today's show, or however he does it.
It's your pass first point guard, something.
What?
He calls himself the pass first point guard. I forget. There's something else to it, but yeah.
I'm a pass first and a score first point guard. Gary Harris, isn't he still making like $20 million a year?
I don't think it's 20 million. I think it's 10 million, but same problem.
Oh, is it 10 million now? Oh yeah, he resigned, didn't he?
Yeah, I forgot what he resigned for.
You're 6'4". How are you a point guard? What do you mean, how am I a point guard at 6'4"? Because I read the floor well at the level that I play at, and I pass well, and I can handle the ball.
He signed a 2-year, $26 million contract. So you trading Hart for him, Bob and Weave? That's pretty much our only option.
Yeah.
Hart or Nurk, are you trading one of them for Harris?
Taylor says, I've never been big on Locked On. It feels like 50% ads. I mean, I can't hate on a podcast with ads, man, because that's truly where the money is. Like, trust me, if I could have,
it for free.
yeah, if I could have 8 ads that I read off for 30 seconds each ad for like a total of 4 minutes per stream, I would do it, because then I could truly, make a comfortable living off YouTube. You know what I mean? Like, that's just the truth. So I never have a problem with ads on a show. You know, his shows are shorter, they're like 30 minutes, and it's, you know, a company that he works for that provides him with the ads, but I mean, it would be a good thing in the future if our streams had more ads, you know what I mean? Like, if you know a company that would maybe be interested in advertising with us, definitely let me know or let them know to contact us. BlazersUprise@gmail.com is our email. You know, I got the Bet Online stuff, but I have them through the Believe partnership that me and Stephen Vaughn do with our podcast on the side, and I can use that on the YouTube stuff, so I do, and we incorporate them into picks against the spread and that sort of thing. But yeah, that is the best way. Like, I wish I could come in here and everybody that tuned in, you know, we get 3,000 views an episode. If every single person donated $2 a stream, we'd make 6,000 a stream and be living pretty. But, you know, that's not the reality. And I don't like, you know, even talking about, if more people do it or anything like that, because, you know, you guys can watch us for free. I don't care. You know, it's always cool when people support, but just come in and chat and say hi and say what's up, and hopefully you're having a good day, and hopefully you like the stream. And if you like the stream, leave a like. That's the easy way to support us, and subscribe. But you know, I don't like having to rely on dodos or anything like that, but I do appreciate them.
David Cutstar with another $2 donation. LOL, I swear you sound like brothers, Tori.
Do we? I mean, I'll take that as a compliment because he's been in the scene. He actually covered one of my Les Schwab games back when I was in high school. He had like the Oregon Live feed for it. You could still find it if you know what to search on Google. So, you know, he used to cover me. Now he covers better basketball players, unfortunately. Much better than me.
And size doesn't really matter in basketball anymore. You could play any position, being any size you want. So
yeah. Just
because Tori's 6'4" doesn't mean he has to play power forward in a rec league or whatever.
Yeah, if I play in an adult league, I'm a point guard. I'm playing on the perimeter, and I'm attacking. Like, I don't know. Yeah, you guys haven't seen me, like, truly play, but I can pass the ball, man. And I feel like I read the game very well, especially playing, like, full court and, like, high level. If I'm playing next to good players, I can figure out where players like the ball, and I'll read how they're being guarded and, like, look to get them in a ball. I don't even know how to explain it, but, like, yesterday I was playing with this dude that played at Portland State, and we were playing against a dude that was, like, maybe a borderline D1 level defensive player. Like, offensively wasn't at that level, didn't end up playing in college at all, but, like, defensively he's phenomenal. Like, I've seen him lock up guys that go D1 for stretches, or close to D1 for stretches. And so it was fun to it was a high level rec game last night, Eric, and the dude I'm playing with that played at Portland State is just like 6'6". He's like a fireman, looks like he'd be a fireman out of a movie, just like absolute unit, automatic mid-range. So it's all about getting him the ball in a position where he can get his shoulder into the defender, especially going baseline and go up strong. I'll be the type of guy like pointing people where to screen, where to go, kind of floor general stuff. I don't know how to explain it, but if only Pineapples was here, he could attest to it. But
so Bob and Weave said it matches with Nasir, Winslow, and Keon. Okay, so I know you watch a lot of streams, Bob and Weave. So just because a trade works in the trade machine, it's less money going out than more. It's more players going out than it is. Is Gary Harris worth both those three players and also going into the tax and having to sign two players? Would we be able to still stay under the hard cap and do that? Those are all things you have to consider when bringing up trade scenarios. And that's why I say anyone making above $10 million, you have to be comfortable trading one of Hart or Naz. or Hart or Nurk, because if they're not better than those guys, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, because Jody Allen isn't going to want to go into the tax for Gary
Gary
Harris. He's
Harris,
not
yeah.
good enough to justify that for her.
Mm-hmm.
So as a GM, like, it has to be somebody better than that.
Yeah.
So that's the thing, is it's more complicated than the trade machine. That's the unfortunate part of it. But no, he says, I know, but I really hate watching Winslow and I want to go all in. I trade Hart, just not for Gary. Yeah, I think we need to upgrade Winslow too. And the problem is it has to be something cheaper, most likely. But it's funny how people have, I don't know, they're not giving me crap for being a Winslow hater anymore, Eric. Which I never hated him.
Sure, you'll get crap.
Oh yeah, from some people, but I don't know. This is what I saw from him in the past, in previous stops. Like, just never been a big fan of Justice Winslow, unfortunately. Just his game as a person seems like a cool guy. Nothing personal, but I'm not gonna pretend I think he's better than he is.
Yeah, well, we haven't talked about this at all. For those still watching, it looks like Gary Payton's going to play on December 26th against the Charlotte Hornets.
First home game after this trip. And that's a good game that shouldn't be too difficult, that he can kind of like get up to speed in. Probably on a minutes restriction, I assume. I don't know.
And then we play the Warriors 4 days after that, so he's got not only a few days to see how he responds, but then he comes back and possibly gets to play against his former team in his second game back. Yeah,
let's go. He can guard Jordan Poole, who's in the starting lineup now, but I want to see him guard Jordan Poole. That'll be fun. Is he going to be on a minutes restriction? Do you know?
I'm assuming they're going to play it safe with him. Yeah, they're just going to try to get him out for... I mean, I don't know what the minutes restriction will be, but they just want to have him play.
Gary Payton. If we could just play Gary Payton and then upgrade our backup 4 spot, oh, I'd feel so good about this team. Like, I feel like we're close, but we're just... This bench ain't it. If you're just tuning in now, the whole first hour I basically ranted about our bench because I'm not a fan of it right now. But yeah, I mean, not a whole lot I can talk about more than the bench for an hour, you know. It is what it is. But in the end, like, also what hurt us, Eric, is Ant and Jeremy Grant didn't do much in this game at all.
Yeah, for sure.
Unfortunately. Grant, 21 minutes, 7 points, minus 29, team worst. No rebounds, 1 assist. This is the type of, you know, game where it's like, yeah, this was kind of what I was worried I'd see more from Grant. Luckily, he's been phenomenal all season long, but he did not provide anything for us in this game at all. He didn't do anything positive in this game on either side of the ball or on the boards. Missed a couple wide open threes. And then Ant as well, 7 points in 24 minutes, 1 for 6 from 3, 3 for 10, 3 assists, 2 boards. Like, offensively, I don't even know how he scored 110 points given how those two guys struggled.
Mm-hmm.
Keon Johnson in 19 minutes. Honestly, Eric, at this point, play Keon over Justice. I'd play Keon at the backup 4 over Justice. Screw it.
Well, I mean, you could play Trendon at the 4 and Keon at the guard until Payton's back. But
yeah, I think that's what you... Play Keon more. Play Keon more. Because he can actually play some defense. He can actually drive, create a little bit, and I think he's more respectable of a three-point shooter than Watford is. Or not Watford, than Winslow is. Yeah, I'd go Keon, Sharpe, Watford, Eubanks right now is what I would do. They're still going to play Winslow 20 minutes a game, though.
Yeah.
No matter what. If Winslow could make a shot, he'd be okay. But the problem is, dude is just way too inefficient. Not good enough defensively right now.
I also did some digging on the claims yesterday that the front office was frustrated or had soured on Gary Payton's mental, however it was phrased. And at least from what I heard, that couldn't be further from the truth, that there was absolutely nothing to that. That was made up bullshit.
Yep. And Trust you on everything because you've proven yourself as much as anyone, I think.
There was a report, I think it was on 620. I don't know how, because usually when they do stuff like that, they'll tweet it all over. They'll play clips on Twitter, get that notoriety out there. But it's kind of interesting how they didn't post a single thing about that, either of them. So yesterday on a local radio station, they said that the organization was growing frustrated with Gary and that he has cleared every physical thing and it's all mental, and they're worried about him, his mental state and stuff like that. So, I mean, you can believe that if you want. I'm not saying you have to believe me or whatever, but I heard that was complete BS, and that just flat out is not the case.
Yep. And one says one more bad take for the stream, Eric. And one comes in and says, I'm sorry, but Portland should have never traded CJ McCollum. They literally have a better version of CJ right now starting in his place, who's younger, and Anthony Simons. They also turned CJ McCollum into Josh Hart and Jeremy Grant. So, you make the case that Jeremy Grant's better than CJ McCollum right now. So I don't know how in the world you, believe that the Blazers should have never traded CJ McCollum.
Well, too, I mean, so what, were we having CJ come off the bench at $32 million this year?
Yeah, and that helps our defense how?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm still a little upset over, the draft pick compensation we got from him, or, not getting a young player that we kept from that deal. But yeah, I mean, overall, I think it was time to break apart that backcourt. And honestly, CJ hasn't even been that good this year. So, yeah. Yeah,
which he dealt with COVID and then was trying to come back.
Yeah.
That. So, reasonable excuse.
Yeah, I'm not knocking him, but I'm just saying it's not like he's been their best player and is amazing or something and killing it. I mean, he's fine for what he is. I think that backcourt just needed to be broken up.
Yeah, absolutely. Anyway, anything else for the stream, Eric?
I hope to see everyone tomorrow night on the post-game show. Hopefully, we have a much better result than this stupid game.
Yeah. Screw this game. We better have a better result against Houston than we did tonight. But it was fun to hang out with you guys and kind of stray away from basketball a little bit. We used to do that a lot more in the past, and honestly, it's kind of refreshing and enjoyable just to hang out with you guys on a stream and not sit here diving in super deep for 2 hours, which we can do. So this stream was enjoyable. We'll have another one tomorrow. Hopefully we're talking about a win, and hopefully we're able to see you there, as Eric said. So with that being said, that wraps up this edition of the Blazers Uprise postgame show presented by Bet Online. Remember, promo code BELIEVE for 50% rewards. BLEAV. The Blazers lose to the Mavericks 110-130. Bad defensive game. Luca goes off, and the rest of the Mavericks team goes off, and the Blazers struggle, and this is one to forget. Or, better yet, one to learn from, because this was a very problematic game on multiple fronts. So we'll have you covered for the rest of this road trip. 4 games left in it, and then it will be Christmas. So hopefully the Blazers can get back on the right track. They've been playing better lately. Did not play well tonight. But there's always tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully you catch us. If not, have a good rest of your weekend. Until then, as always, peace out. Go Blazers.